Time now to go beyond the bitumen with Vic Whitman, thanks to Great Divide Tours and Club 4x4, insurance for four-wheel drive enthusiasts.
And, of course, he is the owner-operator of Great Divide Tours, and he's out on the tracks, and we've got him out on location somewhere. Come in, Vic Whitman. Where are you?
G'day, Duck. Oh, mate, this is unreal. It's so good to get away from home or from Braidwood and and to be allowed to travel in regional New South Wales. And I've been doing it all week, mate, since we last spoke. I'm just east of Balranald. We're in a little rest area. I've pulled over to do the conversation with you. And right on Yanga Creek, which is flooded. In fact, I'm looking at it right now, mate. It's up around the gum trees here. The gums are standing in water. There are birds floating around. There are ducks with their little ducklings. Even a couple of black swans. And, mate, it is just so good to get away.
We should say that the reason you are travelling regionally is because you have been based in the regions. You haven't come out of Greater Sydney, so you've been at Braidwood in the regions, mate. I've seen some fantastic photos that you've put up, and if people want to have a look at them, just go to the Great Divide Tours Facebook page. But it must be. Look, you sound pretty excited, Vic, for good reason. Because you have been you haven't struck a blow for a while, so you're out there, mate. You got who's with you?
Oh, look, I've got two of my guides, Neil Bell, who's been with us for a few years, and also Tom. And Tom's been with us for a few years as well. Tom runs the high country trips and Kimberley, and Neil helps out with the high country stuff and also our unland tours. So they're very experienced guides. And we've got two vehicles. Whenever you go out on the recce like this, you don't know what you're going to come across. You know, we haven't been stuck yet. We've had a few flooded roads along the Murray and up there in the Barmer State Forest and that. So we've had to do a couple of U-turns. But I tell you what, mate, this is a fantastic country we live in. And it's a little area I haven't been to very much, to be honest. And all my travels around Australia, haven't done a great deal along the Murray, but I have now. And, there's a lot to see.
Yeah, well, I know we've spoken about it a few times, and about some of the tracks and the trails along the Murray River. Mate, what's been the highlight so far? I guess just getting out of home would be a highlight. But what's been the highlight? So this is planning trips that you'll be able to take our listeners or your customers on as well. What's been the highlight of this trip so far?
Look, mate. Look, the start of it, we came up over the mountains, over the snowy mountains, and when we dropped down off there, we were following the top part of the Murray River around the little town of Yellick, and some of the driving on the side of the green mountains, looking down onto the flooded river. There's a lot of water. There's a hell of a lot of water coming down the Murray, and it is got like just minor flooding in some areas. So it's all up amongst the valleys and the trees down there, but just that beautiful part there. And then we saw, once we got west of Albury, you're in the more flatter country, all that irrigation stuff that's going on. We've done boat cruises on the Murray, paddle steamer cruises. Mate, I came across I was going to talk about it in another episode, but while you've asked me, came across a little place yesterday called Morning Glory. And it's a beautiful campsite outside Moama. And, oh, gosh, mate, it is a beautiful spot and a great campsite right at the end of the you can almost, it's just like a bush camp. They do have a toilet and a shower, hot and cold water. But otherwise, you're right on the bank of the river, looking over the river called Billy's Camp, and a little place called Morning Glory. And everybody where we travel, they've all gone through the lockdown, and they're still in lockdown, all these places, in terms of the numbers that are visiting, because the numbers are right down. Everybody is just so welcoming, like it's just unbelievable how, they're just bending over backwards. So they see the writing on the car and they go, what are you folks doing? What do you do? Oh, come and have a look at this. Oh, have you seen that? It is just brilliant, mate, just brilliant.
Yeah, well, mate, you've had a great time, and you've been out for about a week now, so which is fantastic. Yep. And you did a track last week over the weekend. What's it, the Talbingo track? What was that about? Yeah,
well, look, we got down. We came over the Snowy Mountains, and We got down to Talbingo, which is, just at the base of the mountains there, not far from the town of Tumut. And it's got the big dam there, Tumut 3 Power Station, and we drove all around the tracks there and had a look at that. That's, you just get overwhelmed by the engineering that went into that. And, of course, you've got the Hydro 2 project taking place up in the mountains up above there. And, that in itself is an amazing project. You do a bit of work, research on that. And just as a side note, we've been doing all the training for the Snowy Hydro 2 people. They come to the centre at Braidwood and do their 4-dive training over the last 3 or 4 years. That's been brilliant. But from the town of Talbingo, or near, right at the dam, called the Janama Dam, it's hard to get my tongue around that one, there's a track that goes straight up the mountains. And we were staying overnight up at Tumbarumba, and this trip that we're going to do, we're going to have an 8-day accommodated tour and an 8-day camping tour along the Murray. So the camping tour will be camped up at one of my most favourite campsites, a place called Paddy's River Dam, up in the Bago State Forest just out of Tumbarumba. And the accommodated one will stay in the fantastic Tumbarumba Motor Inn. But we wanted to cut the corner instead of going on the highway into Tumut and then Batlow and up to Tumby. We saw this little map, little trail on the map, and a couple of the roads were closed because of the bushfires they had through, but this one wasn't. Look, it's a good track in terms of four-wheel driving. It's mainly high range. Four-wheel driving, you have to be careful, But when you got right up the top, and we climbed up to about 1,200 metres, I keep saying up, so we're climbing all the time. There was a turn-off on the left, and it had a signpost of Budong Falls. So we went down there. It's only 200 metres down to the car park. The bridge there at the road there has got burnt out, so the road's closed at that point. But you don't need to go any further because there's a little walking track, and it's only a short walk, 10-minute walk, down beside the river. And, oh, mate, geez, what a fantastic sight that is, these Budong Falls. And, in fact, there's one point where you stand and you look down the valley and actually looking straight across at Tumut 3 Power Station, probably 30 kilometres away. So really spectacular scenery. And then coming out of there, you follow the four-wheel drive tracks. There was a big tree over one of the tracks, and that was too hard to clear. And we had to go over an area that was washed out and put some logs together to drive over. It's a bit like some of those tracks you do up on Cape York. But eventually the track came through a couple of bog holes, went past a big stump. And some guy had got out there with a chainsaw, and fair nickel, mate, it's carved a wizard. I call it the wizard tree. It's in this great big stump, probably 2 metres wide, a big tree, right? They've carved the face and the head and all that of a wizard with a chainsaw.
You know what? If we were to put a pointy hat on you, I think you'd almost look like a wizard.
Mate, I tell you, I haven't had a haircut or a trim of the beard since May, and I definitely am looking a bit like a wizard at the moment. I'm looking quite eccentric. I'll send you a photo.
You don't rush. It's okay.
Anyway, yeah. So look, from there you can get back onto the Battle to Tumbarumba Road, and as I say, in the Tumbarumba, or you can go down to Paddy's River Falls or Paddy Rivers Dam and camp. But really, really good part of the country up in that mountain here. Oh, and brumbies. We saw quite a few brumbies while we were driving through.
Yeah, they were making the news. They were making the news a few weeks ago, and I think some people are inflating the actual numbers of the brumbies down there in an effort to cull them, and
just a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's some people, just different agendas, trying to inflate the numbers of how many brumbies there are.
Yeah.
And that would be great in itself, just to see the brumbies, it's fantastic. Now look, you're down there, you're doing this trip, and you're doing this as a recce, as they say, for upcoming trips that you'll make available through your business. When will that be? When will these trips be up for people to go on with you?
Mate, well, the first one will be the last week of November, so it's only a month away, and then that's an accommodated one. The camping one will be the first week of December, and we'll put this on every 3 or 4 months then. So we'll do another one in March, another one in April, May, and we'll probably skip winter, and then we'll do one around about September next year, another one in November. They'll be up on the website by the end of next week.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, mate. Well, we'll see if we can't send a few people that way. You've certainly painted a good picture of it now, so if people are keen on that, you need to keep an eye on that on the 4wd.net.au. That's the website, and jump on, because I think with the fact that people are just itching at the bit to get out, and I know a lot of your business comes out of Greater Sydney, I'm tipping your phone will be ringing its head off, and if it's not already, there'll be plenty of people booking those regional trips. Good news through the week too, Vic, before I let you go, that the Queensland Premier announced that December 17, the border between New South Wales and Queensland will be open. That's good news.
Just in time for Christmas and all those Christmas holidays. That's really great. And look, it's a great sign that maybe we're getting on top of this thing, and everyone can get back to business.
Well, the numbers are going down in New South Wales, so I know there's still some problems in Victoria, but as vaccinations go up, case numbers will go down. And I think it's time that now that vaccinations are available and plenty of people taking up that offer of vaccination, we can get back to some normality. And I think not only it is great for families and people who live in Queensland who have been stranded, and people who work up in and out of there, all been affected by this. But what it also, and so they'll be absolutely stoked that there's some certainty now about the border opening. I guess the other thing it does, it offers certainty for people who are booking trips and holidays and camp trips from the southern states into Queensland, and because up until now, you would have been a pretty brave person to book a holiday in Queensland, and even braver to pay a deposit on that. So it's great. It gives everyone a little bit of certainty, and we can get back to planning those trips up north, which would be great, mate. So
exactly.
All right, Victor. Well, we'll leave you. The phone line is not so much dodgy, but a little bit dropping in and out there. So, mate, we'll leave you on your trip. Well done. Good to see that you've driven out of the driver training centre and that the car actually started. I thought the batteries might have been dead flat down there. It's just sitting there for 3 months. But it's great to see, mate. And you can tell it just in your voice how excited you are to be back out and about. Just on either of those trips, Vic, will you guide any of those, or will you go back home and catch up with family and maybe meet the new grandson?
Yeah, that's right, mate. Yeah, my plan is to try and get home once we're allowed to get back into Sydney and see little Riley. And Neil and Tom will be doing this, and those guys are fantastic. And, and then I'll be back at the training centre. We're getting, as I said, a lot of bookings now, and the training centre's just going off. So
yeah, good stuff,
we're
mate.
Back to business almost, mate.
Good stuff. Little Riley will be at school by the time you get to see him. It's unbelievable. You've got to turn up for his 18th birthday. All right.
That's right.
Righto. Well, safe travels, mate. Keep your hands on the wheel, mate, and enjoy what you're seeing there. And it sounds fantastic, mate. And take care whilst you're travelling, Victor. We'll talk to you next week, eh?
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, mate. Brilliant.
I can tell. All right, there he is. That, of course, is Vic Woodman, who is out and about now, getting those trips ready. So all you need to do is go onto his website, 4wd.net.au, and book one of those trips down there, whether it's an accommodated trip or a camping trip. And that's what Vic does. You're not just taking off on spec. A lot of planning goes into it well before the trip becomes available to you. So if you want to go on those trips around the Murray River, or any other trips for that matter, you just go to his website. And that is 4wd.net.au, or you can simply Google Great Divide Tours.